Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. I'm back. I've had a few days off. I've been a bit under the weather. Thankfully, Anthony didn't set up. I think it was Anthony last time who joked about setting up a GoFundMe. Thankfully, this time that didn't happen. Was it Coby? I can't remember. What happened months ago with last time I was ill. I'm back. I'm all good, and we have a banger of a show today. It's going to be a fun one, that is for sure. We're going to be giving our AEW WrestleDream predictions. But firstly, I need to introduce the co-host of the show. The man who, rumor has it, listen to this, guys, rumor has it, doesn't believe in space and isn't sure the moons are in space. I mean, are these allegations true, Clark?
No, that's a complete joke. Of course I believe in space. I'm a huge fan of astronauts and NASA as well. I mean, let's not get it twisted. And on top of that, I will say I am a bit bitter about the European side being so far ahead of the US in the Ryder Cup over in golf. Let's get it together, boys. I know you're in Rome, but like, can we not play an away game? I don't get it. It's only every 2 years. I don't want to wait 2 more years with those scummy Europeans like you, Ben, and David carrying the Ryder Cup any longer. That's not the point. I love you guys, and it's a joke. The biggest point is, let's talk about pro wrestling this weekend. Let's get my mind off golf because it's been brutal this morning out of the gates. I mean, you guys swept the alternate shot. I don't even know what to do with myself.
I was really, really hoping, Clark, you were just going to double down on not believing.
No, I do believe in space. I'm anti non-belief in space. I'm a big science guy. Yeah. I'm an amateur scientist, professional podcaster.
I mean, I would have preferred that. I hate Cody Rhodes and I hate the idea of space.
No, I dig space. Astronauts, I'm a huge fan of astronauts. I've always thought it was cool. They hit that golf shot on the moon.
Unless they're wearing casts and they're hitting people with them.
No, if they're wearing casts, they can't go to space. But with a broken bone, gravity, could you imagine?
Anyway, let's move on and let me introduce the next panelist for today. He is the head of reviews here at Wrestling Republic. He's going to have a busy weekend the next couple of days, that is for sure. Mr. Coby Galenzoski. How are things, Cobe?
Well, I can't tell you I was expecting that open from Ben and Clark talking about space instead of wrestling. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's a busy weekend. I got No Mercy, I got WrestleDream, and I got Monday Night Raw once again on Monday. I'm going to be busy. I mean, I hope, but it's also that just means it's going to be a weekend of wrestling, and that's what more can you ask for in wrestling in general?
I mean, personally, I'd prefer the moons being in space, but that is a side note. Depends who you ask, Clark. Introducing our next panelist. He is the reviewer for AEW, so there's nobody better to bring in as the fourth person on today's show than the reviewer of AEW, David Sheldon. David, how are things?
Things are good. Thank you very much for having me once again to talk WrestleDream. Just before we start to answer those 2 points, I also believe in space. Thank you. And just to counteract Coby's thing about being an extremely busy man, I am a man who may be getting up first thing tomorrow morning to go half an hour across London to see Paw Patrol 2, the mighty movie. So, life of a film critic brings you many joys. And Paw Patrol 2. Let's talk WrestleDream.
Oh, wow. I think David's going to be there just writing a paper about why he wishes Space wasn't real, just so he wouldn't have to watch that. But anyway, let's move on, and let's move on to somebody else who's not going to have, probably isn't going to have a good weekend, and that is MJF, because he's going to be fighting the Righteous in a 2-on-1 handicap match to try and defend the ROH World Tag Team Championships. Oh, this is an interesting one, isn't it? Of course, this week on AEW Dynamite, we found out that Adam Cole is injured. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Britt Baker shared a clip on social media showing his ankle, his injury, and it did seem very legit, to be honest. I don't think it's a work, despite the ending on AEW Dynamite this week. But because of the Adam Cole injury, MJF is going into this one alone. And I mean, I think it's going to be a really good match. I really do. I think the Righteous, I think they're impressing a lot of people. I think they made a lot of, new fans. A few weeks ago when they were, introduced, I think maybe Tony Khan kind of presumed more people know them than actually, did know them. But now they are, they're established. Well, they're starting to become established. And I'm looking forward to this. I really am. I think it could be one of the best handicap matches we've seen in quite a while in professional wrestling. So hopefully, this will be a solid one. But I predict that MJF will be losing those ROH Tag Team Championships. Because realistically, nobody, well, in very rare situations should anybody win a handicap match unless it's, Braun Strowman against two jobbers. But Clark, what do you think heading into this Ring of Honor World Championship match on an AEW pay-per-view?
I know this is going to be brought back to Cody in the cast, and I get that. Whatever. I'm pro boot, anti-cast. I love the idea of MJF in a walking boot delivering either a super kick or the boom to one of these guys for MJF to retain these titles and just keep this going. I think it's worth it. I think the buddy comedy thing is funny. Sorry, Ignacio. I do enjoy it. I think it's entertainment. I think it keeps us locked in, and I'm trying to figure out who's behind that mask. I don't know that I want to know who's behind that mask at WrestleDream or even on Collision yet. I don't want to know yet. I would love for the finish of this match to be Adam Cole to limp down with a boot on and either deliver a super kick or the boom in order for MJF and Adam Cole, better than you, baby, to retain the ROH tag team titles.
So you think the injury is storyline?
I do not.
Oh, you can't. They literally cannot legally do it if it's a real injury.
How could they legally do it if Cody Rhodes had a torn pec?
Well, that wasn't a long-term thing. That was a one-off.
How about a one-off? How about a one-off with the boot?
Yeah, but that's already been operated on.
You can't.
Cody hadn't been operated on yet. He's about to be. Might not have happened yet, actually.
You can't put the boot on the wrong foot and do it. I mean, Kevin Nash, remember, had the injury when he stood up with the fake leg and everything, and they used the other leg. They misdirection. I mean, there's ways around this. It's not impossible, Ben. Absolutely not.
I think it is when it's so new as last week.
I mean, even as simple as Bob Orton's cast, that was real at the time. I mean, and you look at the neck brace on Roddy, which isn't real. We understand that it's different.
No, you want about it's real.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, it's outside of kayfabe. I think that's the route that I would go. Use the boot. Why not? And honestly, as long as he doesn't take a bump, he doesn't have to wrestle the match. The majority of the matches that they've had as a team, one of the two, mostly MJF, goes to the back due to injury anyway.
It's true.
So it just fits the aesthetic of their tag team. Adam Cole runs in to save it and uses the boot as a weapon with the guy down. It further teases a heel turn out of either one because Max doesn't have a problem with it whatsoever. He doesn't have a problem breaking the rules, and neither does Adam Cole. I think it's the most logical. I think it's the finish that they'll use.
It would be safer for him to take a bump though than do a super kick or the boom, when he'd either have to use the injured leg
Have you
or he'd
worn one
have
of
to
those
put his
boots?
weight.
You could throw a baseball at one of those boots, like the good ones with all the plastic. They're
Yeah.
heavy as could be and so protected. You could
You
throw a
can't run
baseball
on
at
them,
them.
can you?
You could throw a baseball at one, or you could kick the boot, and it does not hurt.
Are you able to run on them? Like a day
No,
out, a
not
couple of
run.
days.
He'd have to limp
Exactly.
down. He'd have to limp down. But I mean, he's already done that. He'd have to limp down in the boot for sure. Maybe use a crutch. If he's on
Maybe
crutches,
you
use
using
a
a crutch, I think, is more
I'm
likely.
cool with
If he-
either
yeah.
or. I'm cool with either or, but I think the boot's the one to use because those boots are so heavy. And it would be such a cool look to see a super kick with the boot to the chin, given how good of and I'm not knocking him for leg slapping. That super kick sounds great
Oh, it
when he
does,
delivers
does.
it because the leg slap isn't obvious and the audio is great. I think you add the boot as a factor, you throw that move in there. Maybe the boom is safer, right? Because you can extend the boot up to almost the knee, then you hit him with kind of the shin from behind. Maybe
No,
that's the safer
yeah.
route to go than a super kick.
Yeah, I think so.
Or the last shot is it?
I don't think either of them, any doctor could be like, yeah, do it. I don't think so.
I'm telling you, those boots and that tape, you can do some pretty crazy things.
He shouldn't even be flying, should he?
No, because it's not a broken bone, so that's different. A broken bone would be a little bit different with the
Isn't it a
flying
broken
thing.
bone?
No, I thought it was a torn, like it was a little ligament and then a fracture.
Oh yeah, you might be. You might be right here. Let me.
So there's not like it's a sprained ankle and then maybe a stress fracture. Is what I thought. High like ankle sprain.
I cannot for the life of me find out what it actually is. No, it's broken ankle.
Broken.
Yeah, broken ankle.
See, that's fascinating. I don't know that it's broken based on the pictures even. I would say sprained. Broken ankle would there's no such thing traditionally as like a broken ankle we could get a doctor on, right? There's a lot of bones around the ankle and there's a lot of bones in the feet, but there's no such thing as a broken ankle. And so that leads me to believe that he's got a severely sprained ankle, probably a high ankle sprain, which is like a 2 to 6 weeker.
So you're arguing with the doctor,
it's swollen.
Rebecca.
No, I think that's inside of kayfabe.
So he's broken his ankle. I don't know if we can show. Can we show it on YouTube? Who knows? I won't, just to be safe. But he's broken his ankle in 3 places, and they've shown an X-ray, which we know can be doctored, but they've shown an X-ray where you can see the bones broken in 3 places.
Which bone?
3.
Because there's no ankle bone.
Let me. I'm gonna put it.
To
I'm
be
gonna put it
clear.
on screen. No way
Show
can YouTube. No
show
way can
Shad's
YouTube
comment, please.
be.
Show Shad's comment, please.
No way can this be thing. Right, we'll go to the comments very quickly. Yeah, Shard saying his girl's a dentist. She has diagnosed him. Get it right. See, Clark doesn't believe the moons are in space, and he doesn't believe in broken ankles.
No,
it's ridiculous.
I also don't believe in dentists diagnosing ankle injuries.
This is why you should not. It's just absolutely ridiculous. What are we becoming?
I do believe in space.
A conspiracy theory show. Here's a broken ankle. So you can see it's broken in 3 places.
Which 3?
I mean, I can't show it on there because you can't see my mouse, but you can see where there's, they no longer connect.
Bone chip? I don't know, man. That looks fishy to me. I'm calling it a high ankle sprain. I'm an amateur doctor myself. I'm calling it a high ankle sprain.
Amateur job. What? Anyway, Coby, as a maths teacher, what do you diagnose Adam Cole with?
Well, I mean, instead of one tick, I got 2 kind of situations I do want to talk about. Ankle injury aside, the Righteous is in a kind of a weird position because the Righteous have gotten a win over the Hardys. gotten that win of the 4-way to get this title match. The Righteous are in a position to where they're being built up that if they lose to MJF in a handicap match, that kind of shoots the momentum in the foot that you've just given them for the last month. I think that's the position we're in. Almost what I see happening is Roderick Strong helping MJF because Roderick can go about the way of this means more to Adam Cole. This means a lot to Adam Cole. Adam Cole doesn't deserve to lose the tag titles without him being a part of the match. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for Adam Cole. You can have Roderick Strong do the run in, get a sick kick and some knees, maybe the end of heartache to Vincent. He's not gonna lift, but he's not gonna lift Dutch. But at the end of the day, I think there's a potential for some form of run in this match because as much as the Righteous do deserve the tag titles, because we're not gonna, as a long-term decision, MJF and Adam Cole aren't gonna hold the tag titles for that long. But I do kind of see them not winning the titles and some form of we're gonna advance the MJF's Adam Cole storyline with the Kingdom and Roderick Strong in that matter. So I do believe MJF and possibly Roderick Strong's going to retain the titles for them.
Oh, okay. Then that would be interesting. That would be an interesting twist, certainly. I mean, fair play if you end up getting that one right. But it is an interesting match and one which has a lot of different possible outcomes. I mean, David, do you agree with Coby, or do you think maybe another one could happen?
Well, this is the match I care the least about on this show, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
And I don't say that to disparage it. That's the quality of a really good card. I think the Righteous have been put in this situation way too early. I like the Righteous quite a lot. I love their presentation, but we saw them for the first time on TV 2 weeks ago, and they're in a lose-lose really World Tag Team Championship match where either we end I mean, they can win the tag titles, and I don't think anyone's going to care, or they lose the tag titles in a 2-on-1 handicap match and look quite pants. So I like I said, I really like the Righteous. I like their presentation, but I said it in my review for Dynamite. I'm not buying what they're selling me because it feels like we haven't had time to develop any interest in them. So I don't really, if they win the tag titles, it doesn't feel like we've gained anything because they're not especially interesting right now to me, no matter how much I like them. We could have a couple of weeks down the line, the next pay-per-view, Full Gear, absolutely. But I feel like we're kind of just waiting to get to the Kingdom stuff now. And I think even without the injury, Adam Cole and MJF versus the Kingdom was the way to go, whether that's at Full Gear, or whether that was the plan for Full Gear. Maybe Cole's injury scuppered it. I don't know. I don't really know who wins this. I think there's options to go either way, but I think they've kind of either way might be a lose-lose for the Righteous in the long run. But the match should be good fun because I do like all these guys, and I mean, there's obviously the Man in the Mask is a very interesting way to keep this story going.
Yeah,
I think we're just building whatever it is. I think we're building to MJF and Jay White at Full Gear, so which is kind of at the moment I'm a bit more invested in than this, because the stuff I'm interested in is Roddy and Adam and MJF and all that. And while that is all in here, I feel like this is just kind of a detour match here, and I feel like the Righteous have kind of been shot in the foot slightly through no fault of their own.
I very rarely disagree with you, David, but I very much do here, and I'll tell you right now why. That even if the Righteous lose to MJF in 10 minutes, right, 2-on-1 handicap match, and MJF wins even cleanly, it's not bad for them, and the reason it's not bad for them is because over 1 million people worldwide will now know who the Righteous are. Who had no idea.
Can I offer a counterpoint to that quickly and say we spent ages chastising them for WWE for booking Bray Wyatt badly by having him constantly talk a big game and then lose, and then talk a big game and then lose. If they come in and their first big match they get beaten 2-on-1, the Righteous were on Collision. People got a chance to see them and they didn't care. Well, I think you can build interest in the Righteous, but the Righteous are anything with kind of a spooky vibe. I think you've either got to really set them high to start with, or you've got to build them slowly. Both will work. But I think if they do lose to MJF, I think, as you said before, nobody loses a handicap match. Or even if MJF's the world champion. If we go off on this whole kind of preachy kind of gimmick that they've got, which is awesome, if they immediately lose, where do we go from there? And if they win, who's really there to be that invested in them? The thing people are invested in right now is MJF.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, I do agree. Listen, I do agree. Like, there's ways they could be booked better. I absolutely do. I just don't agree that the righteous, this is bad for the righteous, because I think it's good for them long term. And I don't even think they're. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't even think they are going to keep them on AEW TV. I really do think that this is something that, them take those Ring of Honor tag titles back to Ring of Honor. But, oh gosh. The Taylor family are coming together at me. Rick Taylor in the comments saying, spoiler alert, most kicks don't land. Clark's right. If it were broken, it would already be in a set and in a cast.
Absolutely.
It is in a cast already. It is in a
pins,
cast.
No, but it would take pins and plates. And then we'd have a date set we'd have an 8-week recovery at least. There's no appearances there if it's broken. If it's sprained, now all of a sudden, sprained stress fracture even. Now all of a sudden, maybe you can. I mean, there are numerous athletes that work every single week on a sprain, on a stress fracture, on little injuries like that. I'm not saying that he's not hurt. I totally believe that Adam Cole is hurt. As far as injured, if it's a broken ankle there, right? If there's multiple breaks around the ankle bones, whether it be, shin, ankle, all of that, he's already had surgery and there's pins, there's plates. That's an 8 to 10, 8 to 12, 12 to 16 week recovery, pending how bad it was. Sprained ankle, 2 to 4, and you can move on it.
If it's
You
a
can
sprained
walk
ankle,
on it.
it's different. That is different.
It's a high ankle sprain is
different.
arguably also more painful than breaking a bone.
Yeah.
It
But then you
is.
might do this. But
And it puts you out for less time though.
yeah.
Stress fracture can be equally as painful pending which, bone it is that you get the stress fracture in the foot, around the ankle, whatever it is, right? But more likely to perform sooner than later. And the majority of those matches, like I said before, you've seen one of them, not there.
Yeah, that's
Role reversal
true.
in the context of storyline. This one makes a little bit of sense.
Well, I've had enough. You and your dad can continue to be Cody hating, moon faking, ankle breaking. I don't care. Let's move on, and let's move on to the AEW World Tag Team Championships. FTR will be defending against Aussie Open. I'm very much looking forward to this match. Obviously, they had an absolute banger at New Japan Pro Wrestling Royal Quest last year. Will it reach the level of that this time? We're gonna have to wait and see. I've said on the show multiple times, I don't think they built this up as well as they could have. They did a good job last week on Collision, but outside of that, I don't know how much fans care. Hopefully the crowd will be into this one because I really think it's going to be a banger and maybe steal the show. But I do think FTR will retain the titles. Clark, give me your prediction for this one.
I'm not even totally sure. It should be FTR retaining the titles, but let's do a story if we're going to have a match this big. What are we doing here? It seems to happen too often where it's like, look, we've got FTR and these guys. And if you put it on a poster, it's exciting. But we don't go all the way to make it this rivalry that it should be. And that's one thing that slightly bothers me. Am I unsure about this match being an absolute world-class tag team match? No. I'm totally sure it'll be world-class, off the charts. FTR will look great, and I think they'll get the win. Just as Aussie Open will look great and get the win. But can we give me a reason that they hate each other so much? Make it a little bit more valuable than we just have two of the best performing pairs on the planet. We've done that a lot. We've done that with the Bucks and FTR at times. Tell us the whole story, not just on Being the Elite, not just on Dynamite, not just on Collision, everywhere. Give us a reason that they hate each other, that they that they want to prove beyond just padding stats and getting accolades. Give us more of a reason that they want to prove we are the absolute best tag team on the planet. That's the only thing I ask, because I love these two teams so much. I really do. And this match will be off the charts. I'm picking FTR via Big Rig. That's my pick. But give us more. Just a little.
I will agree with you there, Clark. But moving on now to another championship match. It's a championship match filled card here. And now let's move on to talk about the Ring of Honor World Championship and the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship, because both are on the line as Eddie Kingston will defend both against another champion, one of my favorite wrestlers, the wrestler Shibata. And I mean, this is an interesting one. Shibata's pure championship isn't on the line, which is kind of where I thought this was going. I thought we might see some huge unification here. But I do think Eddie Kingston's going to retain. I think it's quite obvious because obviously he's the new champion. But I'm very excited for this one. David, give me your thoughts.
I mean, the booking for this match is very silly because why are some titles on the line and some not? It's always the problem when you've got this many belts in the kind of the collective space of a match. So, I mentioned earlier about the MJF, the Righteous match being my least anticipated match on the card. I think I'm thinking more of that as an in-ring standpoint, because from a build standpoint, this has probably been the worst booked thing. However, it's Eddie Kingston and Shibata, and they're going to absolutely leather each other, and it's going to be glorious. So, this is going to be good fun. I don't really know why it's on the card, but if Eddie and Shibata want to have a wrestling match, who am I to say no? They'll have a fun match. I don't think it's going to go that long, and that's neither man's style really, is to go very long. But they will hit each other extremely hard, and then Eddie Kingston will win, and we will move on. And you know what? Fine, great stuff. Love both wrestlers, so let's see them have fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree, David. Doesn't make an amazing amount of sense, but to hardcore wrestling fans like ourselves, we're not going to complain about it. To the casual, I don't know, but that actually is a common theme on this card, and we'll get into that a bit later on. But for now, let's talk about the women's division. If I'm correct, the only women's match on this card, the AEW TBS Championship, which Chris Statlander will defend against Julia Hart. And I think this one could shock people. I think this actually, I'm hoping, will be a very good match. One which maybe some people are expecting to underdeliver, but I have hope in it. I truly do. I think they've done a great job building Julia Hart for this. I really do. I watched the show yesterday. You guys were, hating on this feud a little bit. And I'll agree with a lot of those points, right? They haven't actually built the feud between Julia Hart and Chris Statlander that well, that strongly. But Julia Hart, she's somebody who they've developed. And that kind of is the story here. It's the development of Julia Hart. And I hate to say, that Chris Statlander should or will be a transitional champion, because she's better than that. But I think in this instance, she should lose the belt to Julia Hart, because Julia Hart is so over right now. She has a character in the women's division which doesn't have many, and I think that is very, very special. So for me, I want Julia Hart to win the AEW TBS Championship at AEW WrestleDream. But, Coby, what is your prediction heading into this one?
I think it's a mixed bag with this match. This is a match where it's like, okay, this is Chris Statlander's second pay-per-view title defense. She had a title match against Ruby, which was a very solid women's match. Probably one of her best title defenses of this reign. I think there is merit in saying that. In this case, Chris Statlander has so much momentum, because Chris Statlander even within the last month, she has wins over Ruby Soho, not Saraya, Jade Cargill, which is now in WWE, and Britt Baker. To me, This is where the disconnect is, because you have someone who just had so many good wins, and if you give all those wins to Chris Statlander and then just say, "Oh, you're just going to lose to Julia Hart," I don't know if that's good for Chris Statlander, because that very much takes all her momentum and all those wins that you just gave her and puts it at a halt. It's a matter of what did those wins do if you just dropped the title. That's the question I am kind of thinking about this match. In terms of Julia Hart, from what I've seen from Dynamite, is she was more over than Willow. Is that a correct statement, Ben?
Yes. I mean, she's probably the most over person maybe in that division right now.
Okay, so that is very interesting. If you want to strike while the iron's hot, I'm not gonna blame you in this case. Julia Hart has a character. She has a presentation. She's very much developing. She's in the position where if you were put in the WWE, she's in NXT and she's flourishing because she's growing as a performer. In this case, that's what she's doing in AEW. She's growing as a performer because she joined the company as the cheerleader with the Varsity Blondes, and now she's in the House of Black as Julia Hart. She's got a gimmick. She's got a presentation. She's getting over with the people and one of the top acts in the women's division. That's where this match is unpredictable. I wouldn't blame Tony Khan if he were to say, we're going to switch plans and put Julia Hart over because of her being so over. But I don't think that's the plan in this case. I do believe Chris Statlander takes the victory.
Yeah. No, I mean, that is... it is one of the ones which can go 50-50. I mean, Clark, I saw when I said that Julia Hart's one of the most over acts, if not the most over act right now in the AEW Women's Division. Are you not happy I didn't say Britt Baker?
No, it's not even about that. Have you not seen Willow? Willow's entrance every time.
Willow's fantastic.
Electric.
I'm not hating on Willow.
Willow is
how many
more
people
over
are talking
than
about
Julia.
Really?
She is. In arena, she's more over. 100%.
Okay, maybe.
In arena, she's more over, and I love Julia Hart. I think Julia Hart's amazing, what she's accomplished in the short time, especially transitioning from being a corny cheerleader character to the mist spraying, you know what I mean, scary chick that she's become. I think it's outstanding. But I mean, yeah, and you mentioned Dr. Britt Baker already and buried the lead on that one. I mean, come on. You play that music, DMD comes out.
You're claiming that she's a fake doctor. She's diagnosing things incorrectly.
No, she's a dentist. She deals with teeth.
She's Dr. Britt Baker. Or are you claiming that's wrong?
What DMD.
That's wrong.
Doctor of medical, doctor of dentistry. Wrong. She's a dentist.
Fake news.
And which is still a doctor.
It is still a doctor. That's my point.
But they don't diagnose ankles. They do teeth.
Teeth. Ankles, same thing. But let's move on and let's talk about so I mean, Britt Baker gives people new teeth. Christian Cage becomes people's new dad. Everybody's favorite father figure, Christian Cage, will be defending his TNT championship. I think this must be his about 20th TNT championship defense now, since he's held that belt, and he has held it. There's some fake news outlets that are reporting it was Luchasaurus. No, it was Christian Cage, and he is facing Darby Allin in a 2 out of 3 falls match. And everybody's favorite father figure, Christian Cage, will get the win in this one for me. But Clark, give me your prediction.
I love this rivalry. I love Darby's involvement in it. I love the idea of a 2 out of 3 falls match. I hope they bring the drama. I do think that Christian goes over in this one, pretty logically speaking. It's been hysterical, the entire rivalry. I called Luchasaurus some pretty mean names. I take it back. Sorry, Luchasaurus, at All Out. Like, I yelled it right in his face. And there's a picture of me, like, with my finger pointing at him. That was mean. He probably didn't deserve that. But, yeah, I would love to see Darby win this title. Do I see him winning it tonight? No. or not tonight, but in this match. No. Christian Cage goes over 2 out of 3, probably with an unprettier the first time around, aka kill switch. And then I think maybe some shenanigans on the third fall. Maybe a little bit of wrinkle somewhere along the way. I don't know what that is, whether it be a Luchasaurus interference on his behalf somehow or something like that. But I think the third fall isn't as clean as maybe the first two.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that kind of is, the simple formula to it as well, really, where, the heel, wins one fairly, face wins one fairly, and then the heel, sneaks one in at the end. Nick Wayne ? That's kind of a factor in this, which, I mean, we've said from the start, could he turn? Do you reckon Sunday will be the night?
I would love to see that. I think what might be more interesting is we've talked about Nick Wayne and, mentors like Christian and whatnot. Jungle Boy's kind of wallowing right now. We haven't seen him in a long time. What about Jungle Boy and Nick Wayne as a tag team under the tutelage? And then that's how we turn Luchasaurus babyface down the road.
You just stolen the idea I literally said on a podcast with you. And I think it was Chaos a couple of weeks ago where I said, have Christian Cage manage Jungle Boy.
I was backing you up.
And Nick Wayne, and have them called the,
presented
Christian
it well.
Cage's sons or something. I don't know. And then
I mean,
it was awkward.
No, I hear you. It's one of those things where, I think some infighting between to truly reignite the Luchasaurus Jungle Boy story would be interesting.
No, I do agree. There's a lot of unfinished things there, unfinished business, and I think Jungle Boy would certainly get a big pop when he does return. But now let's move on and let's talk about the match, which was the first match announced for this card. The match which every hardcore wrestling fan is dying to see. Bryan Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. Dream match, AEW WrestleDream. I am excited. I really, truly am. But is the casual fan who you want to take, those $50 out of their pocket, who maybe usually doesn't buy a wrestling pay-per-view, are they going to care about this? Because you've not really given them a reason to. You've not explained who Zack Sabre Jr. is. I know who he is. He is one of my favorite wrestlers. I think he is fantastic. Maybe even my favorite wrestler in the world, to be honest with you. But I don't know how this crowd's going to react to it, I really, really don't. Is it going to be a hardcore crowd in attendance? If so, I think it'll be fine. But if it's a bit more of a casual one, I think you might have to start to worry. David, give me your thoughts on this, this dream match.
I mean, you kind of taken my opening joke because I was about to ask, where be Zack? Where be Zack? He's not been anywhere in the build for this. Danielson's obviously been doing his own thing with Ricky Starks and having some wonderful matches with him, of course. This match is going to be incredible. Of course, I don't need to tell you that. You don't need to tell Clark that. You don't need to tell anybody watching that. The match is going to be amazing. I don't think the match will have an issue getting over with the crowd. I mean, I think AEW pay-per-view crowds typically will liven up. They know. I think people who will fill out the AEW pay-per-view crowd will know, to at least to some extent, who Sabre is. And even if they don't, these guys are so good, they'll get them. These are two masters. They know how to get a crowd on their side. And Sabre has wrestled before for AEW. Obviously, he was part of the Forbidden Door stuff. He's had matches on AEW before. Not as many, perhaps, as he maybe could have or should have. Particularly recently, we could have used a bit more of him on television, of course. But the match is going to be incredible. I don't know if we've had an announced main event for this show, but it wouldn't surprise me if they go with Danielson and Sabre to close the show. It would be weird given it's one of the least booked, so least kind of built matches on the card, but for the level of quality that it's undoubtedly going to be, it wouldn't surprise me if Tony Khan maybe goes for the match that he thinks will be the most, the highest not the highest rated, but you know what I mean, the best from an in-ring
Yeah.
perspective. I don't think it will main event, but it could. I think the match will be outstanding, and I don't think it'll have an issue getting over. I think it's just you could have built this to an even higher level if we'd have just seen a bit more of Sabre. I reckon we'll probably see him on Collision, because if we don't see him on Collision, then we're getting to Kota Ibushi levels of him never showing up before matches on TV. And I hope that's not the case, because I think there's a killer, if one killer go home angle with these two and you're sorted. But I need that in there.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, for me personally, I think it should open the show, and the reason for that is the type of match they're going to have. It's going to be more of a technical style, and that's at times hard to get over with an American crowd, especially, an arena crowd late into a show. I mean, even Okada and Danielson, at times, they kind of struggled to get, the crowd fully invested into it. There was a few parts which were silent. And I think Okada's a more well-known name. So I do think this should open the show, but I think it's going to be something special for us fans. I think everybody who, does watch it will be in for a treat, certainly. But now let's talk about the six-man tag. Let's talk about trios wrestling. Let's talk about that AEW trios division as the Don Callis' family, Takeshita, Sammy Guevara, and Will Ospreay from New Japan Pro Wrestling will be teaming up to face the surprising trio of Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and Chris Jericho. Oh, I mean, this match, it gets me excited. It really, really does. This could be an absolute banger. This could steal the show. This might be Chris Jericho's, one of the best matches from Chris Jericho in a long, long time. All six guys in this are fantastic. It's got, 5-star written all over it. If, you use the traditional non-story approach to it. Storyline-wise, there's even a lot. What am I saying there? Storyline-wise, there's tons there too. They built this up well. I'm excited for it. Like David previously touched upon, would have been nice to see, Kota Ibushi on TV to build it. But apart from that, I'm excited. I really am for this one. But I do think Don Callis' family will get the victory. Unless maybe they're shockingly going to do an Omega Jericho tag run. But I doubt that's the direction here. Coby, give me your prediction for this 6-man tag team match.
So we're in the position, and I do gotta kind of disagree with that. To say the Don Callis family need this win is interesting, because look, the Don Callis family is Will Ospreay, apparently. He's an uncontracted New Japan talent. I understand it's to honor Inoki. Of course, you're going to bring some New Japan talent in. You got Sammy Guevara and you got Konosuke Takeshita. To me, you're not giving the group a victory gets the Don Callis family over. That's what you're calling this. That's getting Don Callis over. That's not getting the guys over in this match. We're in the position where they're in a match with Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Chris Jericho. I think unless you're going to give... I don't know who takes the fall. Jericho already did, and he doesn't need to take another. He already lost to Ospreay at All In. Jericho taking another doesn't make sense in the scenario, because why would you continue the feud? Kota Ibushi's coming in as a special attraction. I can see if you really needed to give him the loss, you could. But then Kenny Omega just get put over Takeshita, and you're continuing this feud. When I saw the original, this is who Takeshita's targeting, I was like, so WrestleDream's going to be Takeshita versus Kota Ibushi, and then Omega makes the save, and that's how you continue the feud. But at the end of the day, I don't know if this match is going to do it for me, because we're in those challenges of the Don Callis. It's still Don Callis is almost the bigger storyline element in the feuds. Don Callis turned Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara is a supporting role to Don Callis. Same thing for Takeshita when it felt like him and him and the Omega and Callis feud as well. Same thing for, I mean, I don't know. Same thing, not really for Osprey because Osprey is the star of that team, but I don't know if they need. I don't think they need the victory in this case. So I do believe the whatever the I don't know what they call the I don't know Jericho and the Golden Lovers. I don't know if they have a special trios name like they love calling things the Golden Elite, but I don't know if they have a new name or not. But I do believe they get the victory in this case.
Yeah, no, I mean that is a fair point, and you also make a great point about Sammy Guevara there, because Samuel Guevara kind of has just gone from being in the shadow of Chris Jericho to now being in the shadow of Don Callis. He's gone from the Jericho Appreciation Society to the Don Callis family. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I do think they're gonna be, building him up a bit more here, but
It blows my mind that we forgot that Sammy and Tamelo were Dirty Dom and Rhea Ripley in real life and on television well before we saw that storyline played out, like the Hate You couple. And we're getting booed, and then people that didn't know what they were talking about were saying things like X-Pac heat, and that heat was hot. And let's not take away Sammy's talent from him. That's unfair, because he's an awesome professional wrestler. And yes, the story that's being told on screen right now involves his being held back by Chris Jericho. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the reality of the situation. Let's not confuse the two.
There's
No.
there's one massive problem with this storyline. I say it every blinking week in my review, and it is like the kind of thing I cannot get over. We're supposed to feel sorry for Chris Jericho right now because Guevara's turned on him and aligned himself with the Don Callis family. We forget Chris Jericho agreed to join the Don Callis family, and then Don Callis screwed him.
true.
So this whole storyline to me doesn't make sense. As much as Guevara's just doing Scarface down to the font on his Titantron is Scarface. That's what he's doing now. And that's a good character for him. And I like him being part of the Don Callis family, I'll be honest. But at the center of it, I cannot get over this central problem. I'm supposed to feel sorry for Jericho, the man who was very, very willing to stab all of his friends in the back, and only didn't because Callis turned on him, not the other way around. And that is a thing I cannot get over. But the match will be probably really good.
No, that is a great point. And also, just to be clear, I'm not doubting Sammy Guevara's talent for a second. I do think he's absolutely fantastic, but I do think it's weird he's gone from one shadow to another shadow. But who knows? Maybe it'll end up being a good thing. Maybe it'll elevate him to the main event scene. I hope it does. I really, really do. But now, let's talk about what I think will be the main event of AEW WrestleDream. Let's talk about Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland. Of course, the contract signing between these two men took place on AEW Dynamite. It was in that main event slot. They really are kind of not straight up advertising it, but they are kind of hinting that this is going to be the main event of the evening. And it's been a fantastic feud, Swerve's trying to bring out that old Hangman. He's trying to say, you're not that same Hangman who held the AEW Championship. You're not that guy anymore. And Hangman's saying, I wasn't. There was a dark cloud over my head. Which just happened to be the same 18 months that CM Punk was there. But anyway, that's up for another day. But honestly, I am liking this feud. I'm liking how it goes. But I just have a feeling here, right? I really, really do have a feeling that Hangman Page is going to lose. I do not think that Swerve Strickland... so I do think that Swerve Strickland's going to get the win here because I think it's just so obvious that Hangman's going to lose, and I just do not win, and I don't see it happening. I think Hangman's gonna set up. This is gonna be the start of his re-rise to the top, re-rise to the AEW Championship, and I think he's going to fail. I think Swerve's gonna beat him, and I think then Hangman's gonna go into a longer feud with Swerve, and then in the end he will eventually get that win, and then will eventually start his long climb back to the top. but I don't think, and I hope this isn't a one-match feud. I really hope, they continue to develop this storyline, and this is just the start. But I am excited to see how this one goes. David, I'm going to pass this to you first. Give me your thoughts on this great, what I think could be a great, great match.
Oh, I mean, this is on a card that has Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. This is far and away my most anticipated match on this card. I think this has been a wonderful storyline, with two phenomenal wrestlers, and I think they're going to really deliver on the day. I love how high they are on Swerve right now. I mean, I've said for a long, long time, my introduction to Swerve was watching Swerve Strickland versus it was, Isaiah Swerve Scott at the time versus Leon Ruff on NXT. And even then, just seeing those two go at it, I was like, because I didn't see Killshot and Lucha Underground or anything like that. This was my introduction. And I just thought, even before I knew Swerve was, this man is unbelievable. And he's been one of my favorite wrestlers since then. I'm so glad he's got this position. I love Hangman, always have. I think this match could tear the house down. And I am so happy to see both of these guys in these positions. I don't think there's been a bad promo. I don't think there's been a bad segment. I think they've built this so brilliantly in these last few weeks. And I agree that Swerve should win this. I think you can catapult Swerve off this. We got Nana there as well, who's so over right now. Such a good compliment to Swerve's kind of more stoicism with Nana's entertainment. Skyrocket Swerve Strickland should be the first Black World Champion AEW has. 110%. He is one of their biggest talents, one of their best talents. And he should be Hangman. And as much as I love Hangman, and I think will get a win, like you said, down the line, I think this is Swerve's to win. Especially, I believe Swerve's in his hometown, home area.
I'm
not sure
never
about that,
the one to ask about.
I think he is. I think I've heard that he is. So absolutely, and I think Swerve could be their biggest villain, especially now MJF has moved to the face side of things. You could easily catapult Swerve right up into the Jay White conversation in the main event picture. Absolutely, so excited for this match, and well done to AEW. They've built a fantastic feud here.
Yeah, no, I do agree. It really is fantastic how they've done this and how they've kind of, let a new light under Hangman Page and made him feel a bit more important again. But Coby, give me your thoughts on this one. What do you think is going to happen in what could be the main event of WrestleDream?
I mean, that's the thing. I want to kind of react myself. I saw this on the kind of the way down of the show, and this kind of peeling the curtain back. But I saw this, and I'm like, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I understand that this very much could be the main event. And you want to know why? Because Swerve Strickland's from Seattle and the Washington area. This is Swerve's, I don't want to say home turf, but this is Swerve's territory. And I do think there was a missed opportunity in telling that, unless it was being told. I don't know. I didn't catch the contract signing. Don't blame me.
It was brought up on the contract signing.
Was it?
It was.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, good man. Thank you, my good man. At the end of the day, this has to deliver. If this is your main event, this has to deliver because it's your first AEW pay-per-view main event that's not a title match and it's not a special stipulation like Stadium Stampede. I believe that's an accurate statement to be made. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think I am. But at the end of the day, you have to deliver because we just came through a pay-per-view that was main evented by a mid-card title from Cassidy versus Jon Moxley. This is taking an even bigger risk. In this case, Hangman doesn't need the momentum from a victory. Swerve does. I 100% believe that. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to die on that hill. Swerve needs this victory if you are going to keep Swerve as a top name or as a future top name of your company. Hangman Page doesn't need this victory. Swerve does. I hope Swerve does. And I would say it's about an 80% chance Swerve gets the victory in this match. So I do believe Swerve gets the win in this match. He needs it more than Hangman Page. If they get another match, maybe a more stipulation at Full Gear, I'm all for it. elevate Hangman once again, but you also have to you also have to elevate Swerve in this case.
Great take, Coby. I could not agree more with you there. Hangman doesn't need this win. This can be, the start of his elevation, but Swerve, he needs this moment now to, really keep him, or just to put him in the main event scene. Like you said, of course, the mid-card championship main event in the last pay-per-view. So who knows what will main event this one. Clark, give me your prediction. Hangman Page or Swerve Strickland?
I'm going to start by saying this. This is the best rivalry going right this second in professional wrestling, and it's really not close. And we've been saying a different one for a long time, and that's no knock on that one because it's still going. And I don't want to get that started, David. That's my bad. I know that you've soured on the Bloodline storyline, but this one has long time coming written all over it. And you look at Hangman Page, and this is the brilliance of Hangman Page. And I always go back to his original booking, his original moniker, the Anxious Millennial Cowboy. And I think there's a lot of us millennial dudes that feel like Hangman does. And the way that that's been quantified opposite Swerve as a heel of, yes, I had this success, but it didn't feel good. It wasn't fulfilling enough. I didn't finish the job. It still doesn't mean everything to me. Is so beyond relatable for a group of kids around my age, 32 and above and slightly below. It's really, really hard to quantify how amazing his storytelling is and how personal it is. And if you look at his resume, his actual resume, right? He graduated in 2.5 years from Virginia Tech. The guy's brilliant, but he also is relatable. And that's what's so genius. Swerve, on the other hand, is the same, but then as a heel, it makes it hurt almost. The way he treats Hangman, the way he laughs at the things that Hangman says that are so genuine in that promo. This match is so exciting. If I have a pick, yes, I understand Swerve needs a win. I want to draw. I want a fight that's so deep, that's so brutal, that's so heart and soul that nobody can stand up at the end. I want a double 10 count. That would be outstanding. If you're ever going to do it, this is the one. You go 2 simultaneous 10 counts. They wear each other down because they're both so relatable. And the way the story has been told, if you start with the draw, it's a little bit like Fury in boxing, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. You start with the draw. Then round 2, we see the knockout. Round 3, who knows? And that's what I think this rivalry deserves. The work that they have put in on the microphone. I was blown away last night. That was one of my, or 2 nights ago, I'm sorry, one of my absolute favorite promos. It's my favorite contract signing I've seen since, I think, maybe the Attitude Era.
Oh, wow.
Honest to goodness. That is my favorite contract signing because of how personal it was. The personal jabs, and it felt so real. That's who those two are and want to be, right? Swerve leaning into, if I had your opportunities, while simultaneously calling himself the mogul. Hangman, because he's the anxious keyword millennial cowboy, pulling back more on, he's the former world champion and had all the opportunities, and he's sitting there and going, well, he's the one that's unsure. It was brilliant from a psychological standpoint and a storytelling standpoint, and I cannot wait to see what they do in this match.
Well put indeed. I mean, I do have to agree with a lot of what you said there. I mean, they do love a good draw, AEW, so I would not put that past them, certainly. 60-minute match on, well, maybe it'll only be a 30-minute match,
Be
actually.
30 because it's non-title.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, who knows? That's possible. But I do agree with you. It is going to be a very fun match. Best contract signing since the Attitude Era. Not for me personally, but it was a very, very good one. But that does bring us to the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're watching on X, please give us a repost and like. And of course, if you're audio only on Spotify, please give us a cheeky 5 stars. They help us massively. We'll be back tomorrow the same time to talk SmackDown, and of course then leading up to NXT's pay-per-view No Mercy tomorrow night. Thank you to Clark for joining me. Thank you to David for joining me. And thank you to Coby for joining me as well. We will see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy your night.